Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive, where we take your burning questions and, well, we dive deep. This time we're tackling something I'm sure a lot of us have thought about. Why would a successful, really successful neurosurgeon just walk away from it all? And to help us unpack this, our listener sent over a fascinating video titled, Get This, Why This Neurosurgeon Quit Medicine.
It's definitely not your everyday career change. You know, you hear brain surgeon and you think, well, that's it, they've made it, right? So there's got to be more to the story, something deeper about what it really means to feel fulfilled.
Exactly. And in this video, the neurosurgeon, let's call him Dr. G, he kind of lays out his, it's an impressive resume right off the bat. We're talking MIT, years of intense training, a decade practicing. But here's the thing. He was miserable. Really miserable. And it wasn't the money, it wasn't the respect. Even the people he worked with were great, he said. But he describes it as this slow, almost like internal dying.
That's what makes it so relatable, though, isn't it? It challenges this idea of what we're all striving for. It makes you wonder, how many of us are out there chasing those external markers of success, like Dr. G's fancy resume, without really stopping to think, is this really what will make me happy?
Right. Are we just chasing someone else's definition of success? And that makes you really want to understand why. Why would someone with this dream career feel so unfulfilled?
Exactly. What's the missing piece there? So to figure that out, let's rewind a bit. Dr. G talks about how his initial fascination with the brain, it was actually sparked by science fiction, the idea of thought-controlled limbs, like something straight out of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. He wanted to be the one to bring that sci-fi stuff to life.
Exactly. But as he starts to do more research, he runs into a major obstacle. Turns out our brains, they're really good at their jobs, even on a microscopic level. The electrodes they were implanting, even the tiniest ones, they were triggering the brain's immune response. So over time, they just wouldn't work.
Our bodies have a built-in security system against even the most well-intentioned tech, huh?
Exactly. It's a huge challenge in neuroscience. But Dr. G, instead of giving up completely, he shifts his focus to something a bit more, immediately impactful spine surgery, figuring, hey, even if I can't rewire the nervous system, at least I can help people with these incredibly common back and neck issues.
Okay, so maybe not as flashy as, mind-controlled limbs, but still a way to make a really tangible difference.
Yeah.
So then what changed? When did this whole feeling of being trapped set in?
Well, it's actually within this new specialty that he has this major aha moment. He starts to notice a pattern that really throws his entire understanding of healing into question.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. He compares the fancy surgeries he's doing to fixing a house, but like a house with a leaky roof, right? You can patch up the drywall, make it look all pretty, but if you don't address that fundamental leak, are you really solving the problem?
It's such a great analogy. And what's fascinating is this wasn't just some theoretical observation for him. This was him, a top neurosurgeon, witnessing firsthand how patients with the same conditions, the same leaky roof, so to speak, would respond in completely different ways to his surgeries.
Wait, so he's doing everything by the book, perfecting these cutting-edge techniques, and some patients are thriving while others are not.
Exactly. And that's where his real journey begins. It's like the surgery itself wasn't the deciding factor. So then what was it? What was he seeing in those patients who were actually getting better? That's what we'll unpack next.
So we're left with this medical mystery. Why were some of Dr. G's patients bouncing back while others just weren't, even with the same surgery? What did he find?
Well, this is where Dr. G's, that neurosurgeon brain of his, takes a surprising turn. Instead of focusing only on what's happening in the operating room, he starts to look at the bigger picture, like the patient's lives outside the hospital. And that's when he uncovers this fascinating link between lifestyle and healing.
Okay, so it wasn't some secret experimental treatment then?
Nope, not even close. And that's what's so interesting here. The patients who were really thriving, the ones experiencing lasting relief, they were engaged in, well, they might seem almost too simple. A whole foods diet, regular exercise, prioritizing sleep, nurturing social connections, managing stress, like the things we all know we should be doing, right?
Yeah, but you rarely ever hear that talked about in a medical context.
Yeah.
It's not like doctors are handing out broccoli and meditation cushions alongside pain meds, are they?
Right, you'd think. But no, that wasn't the case. And that's exactly what created this dilemma for Dr. G. He's seeing this clear connection, right, between these basic lifestyle factors and his patients' long-term outcomes. But it just wasn't something that was, emphasized, really even acknowledged within the medical system he was a part of.
Man, that must have been a tough pill to swallow, huh?
Oh, absolutely. This is someone who dedicated his life to this highly specialized field, only to realize that some of the most powerful tools for healing weren't scalpels or pharmaceuticals, but like the very things we often neglect in our, fast-paced modern lives.
Wow. Talk about a wake-up call.
Yeah.
So what did he do with this realization? Did he try to change the system from within? Start prescribing yoga and green smoothies alongside spinal fusions?
He grappled with that for a long time, and he did try incorporating these lifestyle recommendations into his practice. Like, he talked to patients about sleep, stress management, nutrition, all that, but it felt like an uphill battle.
I can imagine. Like trying to change the course of a giant ship or something.
Exactly. He felt like a lone voice in a system that was primarily designed to treat symptoms, not necessarily address the root causes of illness, And the more he saw that disconnect, the more disillusioned he became. It really started to create this moral injury for him.
It's like he was caught between what he knew to be true and like the reality of the system he was a part of. That's a tough place to be. So what happened next?
Well, as you can imagine, carrying that weight, that feeling of perpetuating a system that wasn't truly serving his patients, it took its toll.
It's like that saying, right? The truth will set you free, but first it'll make you miserable. Sounds like that's where Dr. G was at. So did he ever find a way to, reconcile that internal conflict? Or did it lead him to make a big life change?
Well, you've been following along, so you can probably guess where this is headed. The weight of it all, seeing these different pieces of the puzzle, but not being able to fully act on them. It just became too much. Like, it was living this double life, and it was really eating away at him.
So he finally decided, okay, that's it. I'm hanging up the scalpel, walking away from neurosurgery completely.
He did. With the support of his wife, he made this incredibly brave and probably kind of terrifying decision to quit. Can you imagine? After all that training, all those years building a career, to just walk away.
It really makes you think, sometimes the most successful thing you can do is walk away from what's no longer serving you, even if it goes against everything you've been taught to value.
Absolutely. And he talks about that in the video, about the initial shame he felt, like this pressure to have all the answers, to have a plan. But there's also this incredible sense of liberation in his decision, in finally admitting, I don't know.
It's like he had to break free from all those expectations, the idea of who he was supposed to be, to finally align with what felt true to him. This deep dive has been quite the journey. What stands out to you most from Dr. G's story?
It's funny, when we first started talking about this, I was really struck by that medical mystery aspect of it all. But as we've unpacked it, what resonates most now is the courage it takes to really live in alignment with your values. Even when it means, challenging the norm. Even when it means walking away from a successful career. Dr. G's story is this powerful reminder that sometimes the most profound healing happens not in the operating room, but in the choices we make about how we choose to live our lives.
And that is a wrap on another deep dive. Big thanks to our listener for sending in this thought-provoking question, and to you for joining us as we dove headfirst into the world of neurosurgery, lifestyle choices, and the courage to forge your own path. Until next time, keep those questions coming and keep diving deep.